Hey guys, welcome back to Jesse Invests, the Success Seekers. How are you guys? It's been a little bit. I hope you guys have had a good Memorial Day and just a good month of May. We are going to dive into my portfolio changes in the last month and go over what dividends I've earned, what things have changed, what new stocks I've bought, what I've sold, any plays I've made, and go over some dividend income. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. All right, so here we are in my M1 dividends portfolio. We can see we are now up to $2,000. We're past $2,000. I have a 16% return, which is a little lower than previously. Last month, it's dropped down a little bit. We have $153 market gain, and we have $32 in dividends earned altogether, almost $33. First thing I want to do, guys, is go over a couple things that have changed since last month's update. I rebalanced core, so it is no longer, the target is no longer 45%. I dropped it down to 40% to have a little bit more percent to give the individual stock sections. So if you open up core, we can see that I have exactly the 10% jepi I should, exactly 15% VYMI, and almost exactly the 75% allocation of schd that I should have. Last month it was like kind of jepi was way over the amount I wanted, and then I had hardly any VYMI, not enough schd. So I rebalanced. I cut a lot of the jepi position I had to buy more VYMI for international exposure and some more schd. I'm feeling good about that. I also went ahead and brought up the money market section, the bond section, up to 15% of my portfolio instead of, I think it was 5 it was at. And here's why I did this. I feel like we are at a top and at the market. Like we are at a high and it's only really going to come down from here. I don't think there's much room to grow necessarily. Now, I'm not trying to time the market and stop my buys. I'm still going to buy into positions regardless of this thought, but it does make me want to lean more on the safe side, especially with the return from Treasury notes being over 5%. That's just a strong dividend for no risk. So I increased my position in the money market to 15%. So 15% of my portfolio will be in SGov, which really keeps your money flat, but it gives you a nice dividend of 5.17%. So I'm putting a lot of my money in my portfolio towards the money market section just to have it sit and collect a nice 5%, over 5% dividend while we wait to see what happens with the rest of the market. But 15% of my money is going here, not 100. 85% of my money that I put into this account is still getting split up between REITs, restaurants, financials, grocery, tech, industrials. Yeah. So another thing I did, guys, was I eliminated Hershey. So if we go to my holdings, I have 19 positions instead of 20. I no longer hold on to Hershey. And the reason for this being that I had Hershey in my portfolio for almost a year, and it was doing nothing but going down. It only very recently got high enough to break even, a couple dollars into the profits, that I took that opportunity to sell out and no longer have Hershey in my portfolio. I have a few reasons for that. Another reason is that if we go to the portfolio and we go to grocery, Hershey was in grocery section, which didn't sit right with me. It didn't make sense to be there. Hershey was consumer. It's not a grocery store. So fitting it with Kroger, Costco, and Target didn't make sense, but I didn't really have room for it elsewhere. But yeah, I cut Hershey, guys. I took a small profit. I didn't want to sell it while I would lose money. But once it broke even, I jumped out of Hershey. I'm not going to be doing that. Not interested because my money could be growing a lot more in my other positions. So if we go to my holdings, the positions that I have, guys, are SCHD, VYMI, O Realty, Texas Roadhouse, SGov, Caterpillar, John Deere, Jepi, Microsoft, Apple, McDonald's, Kroger, JP Morgan, Waste Management, MasterCard, Costco, SMH, semiconductors such as NVIDIA, Target, and Aflac. I am a fan of these positions, and almost all of them are in the green. And lastly, something I did since the last video, guys, was I sold out on some of my Apple positions to increase my Microsoft and SMH to kind of get that tech section more evened out. So, next we're jumping into my returns versus my other portfolios and the S&P 500. So, I am now updating this month by month, not quarter by quarter, so we can get a more accurate look at how my portfolio is doing in comparison to my retirement accounts and the S&P 500 in general. So, month over month return, we can see that my M1 dividends account in May was up 22%. Now, obviously, you guys just saw that it was up 16%. 22% is because I put this information into this calculator a couple weeks ago. So when we update it in June, here in about 2 weeks or less from now, I will be updating it with a lower percentage. But at the time of putting this in earlier on in May, my M1 dividends account was at 22%. My Roth IRA was at 11% gains. And the S&P 500 was up 42% so far. And my Bitcoin was up 0.65% this month, and my gold was up 18.20% this month. So we see the S&P 500 is going up on a pretty steady pace. My M1 dividends went down and then up, and then once I updated in June, it'll be down a little bit probably. Gold is steadily shooting right up, which is interesting. Gold has passed Bitcoin and has passed Roth IRA since I've started holding on to gold and Bitcoin. The Roth IRA is kind of following a little bit behind the M1 dividends, but the same kind of chart. Same thing with the S&P 500. But overall, since in May, there hasn't been much changes, except Bitcoin went from negative to flat. Roth IRA is gone up a little bit. Gold is shooting through all those other portfolios and on track to lead all of them for returns. So going from that, let's go to best and worst performers of this month. So let's go to unrealized gain in my holdings. My best performers are for all time would be Texas Roadhouse, JP Morgan Chase, and SMH. Semiconductors followed shortly behind by Caterpillar and Target. Texas Roadhouse, JP Morgan, SMH, and Caterpillar and Target. Texas Roadhouse is up 60%. I have a 33% return on JP Morgan Chase, a 28% return on SMH, and then followed by the 24% on CAT and 20% on Target. Love to see that, guys. That is cool. And yeah, Texas Roadhouse has just been exploding, blowing through all of these. It's really nice to see JP Morgan Chase rising up so high. I bought a lot of that when it was down, and I haven't seen it up here in the top 3 in a while. As far as worst performers, let's see what they are, if there are any, and how bad it is. Okay, we can see there are only 3 positions out of 19. 3 out of 19. That means 85% of my stocks are up. The 15% that are down, the 3 that are down, are McDonald's, O Realty, and Waste Management. I am down 3% in Waste Management. I am down 7% in O Realty, and my biggest loser, I'm down 9% in McDonald's. Now here are my thoughts about these 3, what I'm doing about this. When I see a stock down, I see it as a sale. If I saw a stock that was down in my portfolio and I got freaked out about holding on to it, then I probably shouldn't be holding on to it. Because the stocks that I picked for this portfolio are stocks that I really believe in, that have good fundamentals, that I love as a company, that I believe will have major growth in the next 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50 years from now. So I didn't buy any of these on a whim, and my hope and faith in them goes out farther than a temporary loss. When it comes to things like Hershey that I had in this portfolio, Hershey from the get-go didn't really fit. Before it was in the negative, when I first put it in the position in the portfolio, I felt like, I don't know exactly where it fits, but I like the company. But as it started to perform worse and worse and worse, I was like, okay, I'll just give it some time. But almost, like I said, almost a year went by and it just kept performing worse and worse until it randomly reversed and shot up back to break even in the last couple months. And that's when I decided to get out. But as for McDonald's, I will be hanging on to it and adding more positions if we get under the percentile that I have set aside for it. I will not be adding on to O Realty, but I'd really like the monthly dividend that comes from them, so I'll be looking forward to that. And then Waste Management is down 3%, and I am most excited about Waste Management out of these three because that is a sale, an opportunity to buy for sure. When it comes to Waste Management, I've only purchased it once, so I haven't had a chance to dollar cost average into it yet, really. So I would be shocked and it would be unexpected if Waste Management was up. I expect the Waste Management to be low because I've only bought it once. I have to buy it multiple times to get that dollar cost average, that average evened out. O Realty is down 7%. But the interesting thing about O Realty is if we go back to the portfolio and we go to REITs, I am up $4.49 or 4.73% in my REITs. Why is that? Why does it say I'm in the positive for O Realty if I'm down 7% in my holdings tab? O Realty has made me money because I have made more dividends than how much money I've lost in the price of its stock. So I'm just hanging on to it. I enjoy the monthly payment. I'm going to hang on to it, unfortunately, even if it means that there is some depreciation in the stock price. It might just be a kind of thing where it stays even year over year, and I just get paid out in dividends, but I don't make much on the actual stock price. All right. So now let's go to the monthly performers. So let's see what actual positions performed the worst. It looks like the worst performing section was REITs. In the last month, my REITs went down by 5%. O Realty dropped in 5% in the last month. That was my worst performer. Looks like my second worst performers were my industrial stocks, down 8% in John Deere. Okay, wow, that's also one of the worst performers. And down at Caterpillar and Waste Management. But my best performers, like I said, were tech and financials. Let's see what tech did to get me 10% gains. In the last month, 13% in semiconductors, 12% in Apple, and 6% gains in Microsoft. So Apple, Microsoft, and the semiconductors sector rule the portfolio right now in the last month, with industrials falling behind and realty income also behind. So, that being said, let's jump on to the next section. All right, dividend payments, which you guys have all been waiting for. So, this month we got paid $1.25 from jepi. That's a real big payment. Love to see that. We also got paid 21 cents from SGov, which is the iShares Treasury bond. Then we got paid 63 cents from John Deere. We got paid 11 cents from MasterCard. We got paid 3 cents from Costco. And we got paid 55 cents from O Realty. 16 cents from Apple. And then last but not least, we got paid 32 cents from Caterpillar. All right, here we are in DivTracker, and we can see that we are up 8.41% total in the M1 dividend portfolio according to DivTracker. And we can see the percentages of each thing in our portfolio, our composition. We could see that our biggest position is $600 in SCHD. 31% of the portfolio is SCHD, followed by O Realty at 5.73, Texas Roadhouse, and then 4% of SGov, Cat, John Deere, and jepi, and Apple, and Microsoft. And then we got 3% of Kroger, McDonald's, JPM, Waste Management, MasterCard, and SMH, and Costco, and then less than 2% of like Aflac and Target. And we can go to our overview, and we can see that the annual dividend income is now $53.62, or $4.47 a month, $1.03 a week. We get $1 a week in dividends, which is pretty good. That's a cool accomplishment, $1 a week. 15 cents a day or 1 cent an hour still. And our yield is 2.8%, but our yield on cost is past 3% right now. Super excited about that. And then if we go over to monthly dividend income, we go to dividend income here, we can see that the $3.26 in dividends we made this month beats none last year, and 98 cents the year before, 8 cents the year before. Historically, May has been a month of hardly any dividends, if any at all, for me. So no dividends, a penny, 8 pennies, less than $1, none at all. So 326 is really high compared to the dividends from month over month in the past years. And here's our monthly dividend income. We are right there. We're at 326. And we still have an overall growth here of upwards. Super excited about that. And yeah, I think that's about it. And I would say thank you guys for tuning in and checking out this video and getting the updates from the account changes, the returns versus the other portfolios and the indexes, my best and worst performers, what I bought this month, my payments, and the updated totals. Stay tuned for next video, guys. And yeah, see you then.